an emergency meeting due to their encounter with the Dark Grasper. They can't believe that they have to fight another human now, which leaves them with a bad aftertaste in their mouths. However, Irina, who is very hyped from the last fight, assures them that Dark Grasper might be a human, but she has completely fallen against humanity, so as humanity's protector, they must fight against her. After hyping up all of them, she puts their hands on her own as they cheer up. However, later at school, she is helpless when she finds Aka fighting with Turul once again, and Saoji, who is struggling to let go of Turul, who has her face on his crotch. After struggling, Aka finally manages to separate Turul from Saoji, who wipes off her face as she explains that she was just helping him fix his zipper. However, Aka asks her how the frick fixes the pants zipper using their mouth, so Turul points at herself and tells her that she does. Before Aka can say anything about her shamelessness, their bracelets ring as they are alerted of minions nearby. Saoji and the others teleport one by one, leaving behind Makoto, who doesn't have any special ability. The group arrives at an island, where they are confronted by a butterfly boss who introduces himself to be a minion under the Dark Grasper. His attribute is lips, as he wants to steal their first kisses from them. However, everyone is disgusted and stands farther away from him. But he has long-range attacks, so they have no choice but to step aside and let Irina take care of those who have long-range attacks. Irina gets lost in her obscene fantasies, as she loses all control and goes full havoc on poor Butterfly's boss. After slaying him, she also falls, so the group picks her up and takes her to the base. Meanwhile, the Dark Grasper has another secret identity of an idol under the name Anko. She performs very well, which leads to the director calling her magnificent as he praises her singing. After the practice, she returns to the makeup room, where she stares at the crystallized gem from the Cerberus boss. The Cerberus boss was once her producer, but he wanted her to change her hairstyle into braids, but Anko wanted to keep her twin-tailed hairstyle with her iconic glasses. But this made him upset, so they fought to decide the victor. The winner was Anko, and Cerberus became a vanquished foe. Back at the base, the group is taking care of Irina, who lies down unconscious. After a short while, she wakes up and finds Aka once again fighting with Turul, so she becomes jealous of their close relationship and asks Aka to hit her too. But Aka can't just randomly hit her, so she has no choice but to ask Saoji to hit her in the face. Saoji doesn't want to get cancelled, so he just puts his hand on her face, but being the masochist she isn't satisfied and wants him to do it harder. This makes them realize that she doesn't know anything about the world. So Turul decides to let her learn, as she asks Irina to buy the best Ekai magazine for Saoji, as this is what makes boys happy. However, as Irina knows nothing about such things herself, she asks everyone in the school to give their opinions. One by one, she asks almost everyone, and during that time she becomes completely embarrassed after learning that there are so many fetishes out there in the world. Meanwhile, her mother discovers her activities to be rather unrefined as well, so she decides to set up an arranged marriage for her, so she may fall back to her refined path. Later, somewhere in the world, the owl boss is reading literature that seems to be written by a 14-year-old on Wattpad, but in his eyes, it's better than every piece of literature in the world. He closes the book, and it turns out to be indeed a piece of fiction written by a 14-year-old Dark Grasper who was madly in love with Turul. The following day, Saoji and others are heading to school when Irina arrives and greets them with swollen eyes and tired faces. She tells them that she spent the whole night searching for the best Ekai magazines online, but sadly her home server had restrictions, so she wasn't able to find anything. Aka informs her that she should have asked her for help, but Irina tells her that she wants to do this all by herself. Later, Makoto meets up with Saoji alone and tells him to follow Irina to the bookstore, where she will head to buy the Ekai magazine. Saoji asks her why she can't just go with her, so she reminds him that she won't let anyone interfere with this, so she has no option but to ask for his help. Saoji agrees to help her, but she wants him to sign a contract, which turns out to be a marriage form. He looks at her face and finds nothing. After school, Irina heads out to buy the Ekai magazine, as Saoji follows her sneakily so she won't discover him. He continues to follow her until she eventually heads inside the bookstore. Coincidentally, the owl boss also seems to be standing outside as he tries to sell his piece of literature to people. However, no one buys his stuff, so he takes out his mask, which makes him reveal his identity to Saoji, who immediately transforms into his red tail form to fight him. The owl boss is shocked and can't believe that someone found him this early. But he still isn't afraid of fighting, as he spits out 2 sticky liquids that bind Saoji's arm to the wall so that he won't be able to move. He preaches to him about how novels are far better than mangas and let people immerse into the world of words. However, the manga has completely ruined the world of literature. Saoji doesn't have enough time to hear his bullshit, so he breaks free and beats his ass. He tells him that he doesn't care about novels or mangas. The only things he likes are twin tails and nothing else. His love for twin tails even surprises the hardcore literature fan Al boss, who gives up on his life after being defeated. Saoji is about to head back to the store when Erina exits the store and notices him. Saoji acts as if it's just a coincidence and is about to leave when she asks him to stop and tells him that she wasn't able to buy the Ekai magazine as only 18+ people can buy it. He asks her to not get worried as they head back to the classroom and get consoled by everyone. Turul even gives them special phones made for the Twin Gear heroes. Later at night, Erina is at her home when she gets summoned by her mother, who lectures her. After hearing what she has to say, Erina leaves and sits in her room alone. The next day, she comes to school without her twin tails for the first time, which causes Saoji to mistake this for her getting attacked by Eleminions and getting her power stolen from her. But Makoto asks him to not think too deeply, as it's just her way of fighting against her mother. Saoji and the others try to talk to her about it, but Erina doesn't say anything and leaves. Later, she heads to the school board of directors room where her mother's office is located. She is talking to her about the arranged marriage that her mother planned for her when Saoji barges into the room and talks to Erina's mother about Erina's twin tails. He informs her that Erina's twin tails are like morning sunshine to him, and without them, his day wouldn't be the same anymore. He praises her to the end of the earth and expresses his love for twin tails. Erina's mother, who is also a hardcore twin tails enthusiast, is taken aback by his love and decides to give her daughter's hand to him. Erina doesn't mind either, as it's Saoji, but the girls outside are having a breakdown, especially Turul, who wanted to steal his virginity for herself. Meanwhile, Anko is in her room depressed by her monthly viewers gain, which is less than usual. To cheer her up, she summons and pulls out the Turul photo album. However, after seeing the pictures, Anko realizes that Turul doesn't have her signature twin tails and realizes that the red tail at that time wasn't Turul but someone else. This infuriates her as she can't believe someone has her. Meanwhile, Saoji is passing by a banner of Anko's concert when he also realizes that the Dark Grasper is an idol named Anko. Saoji calls everyone for an emergency meeting and informs them that the Dark Grasper's true identity is the glasses idol, Anko. They can't believe that such a thing was happening under their nose. They research about Anko, and in one of her songs, they find hidden meanings where Anko confessed her love for Turul. And even on her latest concert banner, she has set up a bait for them. They ponder whether to go or not, but after having some discussion, they end up deciding to go after all. On the day of the concert, the trio teleports to the concert hall, where everyone is standing as if they have been manipulated by something. All three of them are creeped out as they look at the audience dancing on the finger of Anko. Anko's eyes fall on them as well as she signals to start the show. Just at that moment, Anko appears behind them, which shocks them. They ask her if she's the real one and then who's the one on stage. Anko points towards the upper portion of the hall, where her mecha summons seems to be projecting the idol Anko through a hologram projector. The group praises her brain for thinking like this, but they can't believe that the audience is too stupid to recognize this and wonder if the glasses have truly blinded them. Their words offend Anko, who loves glasses, as she calls Saoji the biggest liar and a despicable person for stealing her Turul from her. Saoji doesn't understand her as to what she is talking about. Anko realizes that she can't control her anger anymore, so she teleports them outside and takes her stance against them. Her first against Saoji is heavy as he slams back into the wall and ends up destroying it. Seeing this, Erina and Eka get serious as they stand in front of Saoji to protect him. However, even their combined efforts aren't much against Anko, as she is easily able to take on them without much effort. Saoji also tries to get back, but she grabs all three of them with her lighting tentacles and tries to make them suffer. After tasering them for a while, she pulls out glasses from nowhere and informs them that these are permanent glasses that reduce vision and cause near blindness. Saoji tells her to not do it as it would be an eternal hell, but Anko is too evil for his understanding and comes even closer, and just when she is about to put them on, Turul arrives and asks her to stop. She requests Anko to leave everything behind and pulls her into a hug. She asks her to turn off her armor as well, and Anko obliges without any questions. Too Early tries to explain to her to quit everything and come back with them, but Anko tells her that if she does, her glasses attribute would go away. And if they hold on to their twin tails dearly, she also holds her glasses dearly. She also speaks about the only reason she joined the Ultimate Lord was to get permission from him to keep the glasses attribute, so even after destroying many worlds, the Ultimate Lord didn't touch the glasses attribute. She separates herself from Turul and transforms back into her twin glasses gear form. She then continues the fight with Saoji and the others, but instead of holding back, she directly uses her super attack and sends them to a dream realm to suffer for eternity. Turul asks her to bring them back, but Anko answers, nah. In the dream world, Saoji opens his eyes and finds Anko completely naked on his bed. It's not only her but all the twin tail girls are naked in front of him, but he realizes that he is missing someone. And that turns out to be Turul, who whispers into his ear that she will show him her twin tails, as well as she tries to bind her hair into twin tail, but the reality breaks as Turul has given up her twin tails to atone for her sin. The enraged Saoji wakes up and confronts Anko with his flaming wrath, but before that, he consumes the Cerberus boss crystallized gem that he found earlier in the arena and uses the braid attribute to combine his power with Arena and Eka to form a multi-cannon system to shoot Anko down with one shot. Anko's armor is reduced to nothing but atoms as Turul asks her to finally admit defeat, but Anko informs that she'd win as she calls her Mecha Summon. But instead of fighting against them, the Mecha Summon asks them to become friends with her. Anko gets embarrassed as she comes close to Saoji, kisses him on the lips and places a QR code on his face. The girls are shocked and can't believe that his first kiss was taken away by a random girl. Anko asks her Mecha Summon to take her away, but before that, she informs Turul that she doesn't love her anymore and that her new love is Saoji. In the main base, Anko heads to the dojo of the spider boss, who wishes to fight with the three twin tails. Anko allows him and also asks if he has any experience with kissing. The spider boss informs her that he doesn't, so she flexes on him by saying that she kissed Red Tail Aka Saoji. Back to the earth, Saoji and Aka are heading to school when she talks to him about kissing Anko. Arena, who is walking behind them, is also very curious, so Saoji assures them that it was nothing as he was in his twin tails form and kisses between girls are common, and asks her to just consider it as a greeting. While they are chit-chatting, they head to the club room where Turul informs them of an attack of Eleminions in a nearby all-girls school. The trio immediately transforms and teleports to the location where they find the spider boss standing in front of two girls, one who confesses that he is a boy and lied about being a girl. However, the other girl doesn't mind and tells him that she loves femboys anyway. The trio is shocked as they watch him, but they realize that this spider boss attribute is femboys, so they immediately descend to save them. They ask both of them to quickly leave as they confront the spider boss, who introduces himself and explains his love for femboys who cross-dress. Aka warns Saoji to be careful as he can be considered a femboy as well with his red tail form. Saoji gets shocked and never realizes this point and decides to be cautious. The spider boss showcases his skilled sword fighting capabilities that he learned after dueling with so many femboys in sword battles. Saoji isn't able to put up any fight and ends up getting destroyed by him. Aka and Arena try to attack the spider boss, but he escapes after defeating Saoji only. They both pull Saoji out of the rubble to check on him and find him healthy without any major injury. The following day, Aka comes to Saoji's home to pick him up, but he's sleeping, so she heads upstairs to wake him up. But instead, she finds him sleeping in his red tail form and asks him why. Saoji doesn't remember either, so she just leaves it and asks him to get ready for school. On their way to school, they bump into Turul and Arena, who are alongside Mikoto. They ask Saoji if he's fine, and he assures them that he is completely fine. Just then a dog passes by them, which causes something to awaken inside Arena as she puts a collar on her neck and asks Saoji to take her on a walk. However, before Saoji can do anything, Turul grabs the belt and commands Arena as if she's a dog. Even though she is embarrassed, she keeps on following her commands, which amuses Turul, who becomes narcissistic very quickly. Meanwhile, Saoji walks forward to walk beside Aka, but instead of normally looking at her twin tails, he focuses on her juicy lips. Aka gets embarrassed but is happy that he finally noticed something else aside from her twin tails. She wonders if something bloomed inside his heart after kissing Anko the last time. Later, in the class, Saoji dreams about Anko, who tries to kiss him, but he stops himself and chases after his red tail form. The dream ends and he wakes up as he heads back home with Aka. The following day, Aka once again heads to Saoji's home to pick him up, but his mom tells her that she is still sleeping and instead asks her to go and wake him up. Aka heads upstairs to wake him, but this time she finds that instead of being in his red tail form, he has completely turned into a girl. Saoji can't believe it and immediately moves in to check in the mirror when he is shocked to find that he has turned into a woman. Just like every other man, his first instinct was to touch his pom-poms, so he does that and it feels real. Aka calls everyone for another emergency meeting as she explains to everyone what happened. Instead of being worried, Saoji's mom is excited and reminds Saoji that if his father had been here, he would have felt very proud. Saoji feels like crying as he doesn't understand what's happening to him. On the other hand, he is getting the urge to pee, but he is too afraid to go to the toilet. Turul and Arena volunteer to go and help him, but Saoji declines and continues to hold on. Aka smacks him in the head, takes him to the toilet and teaches him to do it in a womanly manner. After this is done, they now have to handle the matter of the school as well. Arena suggests they enroll Saoji as a temporary student till he eventually recovers his male form. Saoji has no other option aside from doing this, so he does the thing, which is to dress up in a schoolgirl uniform and head to the school like a girl. There everyone is shocked and wonders where such a pretty girl like him came from. Poor Saoji would cry if he could hear their internal monologue. Meanwhile, in the main base, the spider boss undergoes a retreat into the deep training waters. He leaves everything behind in the hands of his trusted subordinates. Later, in the club room, they receive a notification for an Eleminian attack, so the trio heads out to defeat them. After arriving at the location, they are confronted by the worm boss, who is trying his best to master the femboy attribute of his master spider boss. Eika is too creeped out by the worm, so Saoji decides to leave him alone as he asks Irina to stay aside. Irina stands aside like a loyal puppy as Saoji alone takes on the slimy and gross worm. However, unlike his usual fights, Saoji isn't able to properly utilize his strength and ends up getting beaten up by the worm. In the end, Eika has no choice but to overcome her phobia and save him. Saoji is disappointed in himself and chooses to lie down on the ground as he wants to stay alone. There he is visited by Anko, who tells him that she is disappointed in him for being so weak. Later, at night, Saoji is bathing alone, lost in his thoughts, when Eika comes in and helps him wash up properly. She even undo his twin tails for the first time, which makes him feel as if he has lost something important. After washing up, Eika helps him dry his hair and is about to tie his hair when Turul walks in and gives her the 2 accessories that she used in the past to tie her hair. Eika uses those accessories to tie his hair into twin tails. Saoji likes this hair, and this makes him realize that there was so much that he didn't know about twin tails his whole life. At night, Saoji is trying to sleep when he receives a call from Turul that there has been an Eleminian attack and that Irina and Eika are still sleeping. Saoji assures her that he will take care of the problem as he heads to the location and finds the snail boss there. Just like everyone expected, Saoji fails to do any significant damage and ends up getting his ass beaten up once again. Fortunately, Irina and Eika come to his rescue and save him by defeating the snail boss, but before he dies, he informs them that the spider boss will return with even stronger power. In the training waters, the spider boss walks out and flexes his body as he sheds his old skeleton to reveal a new and better form inside. He then grabs his trusted sword and slashes it to test his might. Meanwhile, Saoji is sitting in his room all depressed. After thinking for a while, he finally gets some motivation as he heads to the bathroom to bathe and comb his hair. But he is not used to such long hair, so he messes up and ruins them. In the end, Eika has to help him in properly doing it. Later, he tries to tie his hair into twin tails but ends up ruining it again. This time all the girls teach him about their twin tails so Saoji can learn about multiple styles and choose what feels best to him. After trying out all of them, he wonders what his twin tail styles are, so he heads to the bathroom to design his twin tails. On the other hand, the spider boss arrives in the control room where he finds Anko sitting alone on the chair as no one is left aside from them. Anko asks him to defeat Red Tail with full might. This surprises the spider boss a lot as he thinks that she loves her as she was her first kiss. But Anko assures him that he can just have full strength as she doesn't need a weak bride. After receiving the orders, the spider boss heads to the earth and stands on the tallest building in Tokyo as he vows to the heavens that he will turn everyone into girly femboys with twin tails. He summons wind and lightning, which transforms into a hurricane, and anyone affected by it loses his masculinity and becomes a twink girly femboy. Turul is in the base when she receives the news and is shocked that an even stronger spider boss has attacked them, and this time he is severely affecting the world also. Irina and Eika request to go and fight him as Saoji is still busy finding his ultimate twin tails style. Irina and Eika arrive at the building and confront the spider boss, who informs them that he isn't the same anymore. He informs them of his new form and name, which is Arachne, so he asks them to call him Arachne Boss. After bullshitting for a while, he gets serious and starts to fight them. His speed is too fast for Irina and Eika to react, so they are beaten up by him while not being able to do anything. However, they know that they can't give up, so they stand once again and combine their powers to fight him, but unfortunately, it still isn't worth it as Arachne's boss splits into 2 clones to attack them individually. While Irina and Eika are getting their ass beaten up by Arachne's boss, our protagonist is combing his hair and trying different hairstyles. In the end, he settles on his usual twin tails during his red tail form and decides to go with it. He then immediately receives an alert from Turul, so he heads to the base and learns of the situation. Without thinking much, he transforms and jumps into the teleporter to teleport to the location. After arriving at the location, he immediately confronts Arachne's boss, but he is disappointed in Saoji after he notices that his aura is still chaotic and full of doubts. He even claims that he can shatter his armor in one strike, which makes Saoji angry as he jumps in to attack him, but unfortunately, he is too weak and isn't able to do much. The Arachne boss decides that it's time for him to end this, so he attacks Saoji, which ends up destroying his sword. Saoji thinks this is the end for him as he is close to giving up, but then suddenly he gets pulled into a dream where he meets with his twin tails. The twin tails remind him of his doubts and clear them for him. They explain to him that those doubts are nothing but illusions. They also explain that is mistaking his love for twin tails with love for females. It assures him that these are different things and that he doesn't need to get confused between them and just choose one. In the end, it reminds him that it will always be with him as they shake hands to close the deal. After waking up from this strange dream, Saoji feels extremely powerful as he easily pushes back Arachne's boss without much effort. Seeing his efforts, the Arachne boss becomes serious as well and starts to use his full power. He summons 8 of his clones and unleashes them on Saoji, but he is easily able to counterattack it by killing all of them at the same time. Using the smoke created by the clones, Arachne attacks Saoji to sneak attack him, but Saoji has already predicted his move as he counters him perfectly. They keep on exchanging moves and get used to each other's power levels. However, they both realize that they have to end this battle in the last final exchange, so they both transform into their ultimate forms. The twin tail accessories given to him by Turul become an upgrade boost for him, which he uses to upgrade his current gear. He calls it a rising chain and becomes extremely powerful for a short period. Saoji even pulls out his dual swords, which will give him the upper hand over Arachne, who has only one sword. On the other hand, Arachne also concentrates all of his power on his sword attacks as the sword battle begins between a femboy lover and the femboy himself. However, after Turul realizes that it's getting too lengthy, she informs Saoji that he needs to hurry up as the transformation is too unstable and will end in 20 seconds. Saoji assures her that's enough for him as he gets even crazier with his attacks and barrages Arachne's boss with enough attacks till he isn't able to hold in anymore and explodes, leaving a beautiful explosion that reverts all the femboys to a masculine man. Saoji also returns to normal as he falls into Turul's bosoms out of exhaustion. She holds him dearly and caresses his head. On the other side, Anko is happy that her bride did so well also and wishes him farewell as she leaves with the Eleminian base to go back and run an errand for the Ultimate Lord. After everything is back to normal and the threat of Eleminians isn't anymore, the group wonders if their